any sort of interface between there and the machine's could make some changes.
Yep. So it has to be exposed leg.
Yep. So this probably needs to be higher up thigh so that the knee is actually clear.
Okay, so it's not in but under the knees.
No, it's just up higher the knees to give a clear, so that when your straps come underneath, you can get a good clear access underneath there.
Good.
And then the other thing you need to make sure is they've got between 20 and 30 degrees of flexion. A little gonny on the...
That's right, to make sure the 20 to 30.
At the range that's going to have the... And so that's... Your navy blue on the black doesn't work very well, so...
That's alright, you can tell me what it is.
Yeah, so we've got about 30 degrees there, that's fine. If they're quite a long limb, then you might find that that's dropping down below 20, then that's where you can adjust the height of this, so that can come up, and there's different settings that it can come up to. Just bend your knees up a little bit for us. And then you can actually...
Okay, so to get the 20 to 30 degrees.
Yeah, so then you can lock it into like that and bring them up into more flexion, but obviously if you go too far into flexion, then it's not ideal either. So for Emma, definitely at the normal lowest setting is ideal. And the other thing is you want alignment. So any sort of external or internal rotation obviously changes the direction of the pull. So if you're pulling straight up but the tibia or the femur is externally rotated, then it's a different line of pull.
Yep,
so
neutral rotation.
You want neutral rotation as neutral as possible. So you're looking to try and get a neutrally facing patella, basically. When you do that, you'll notice that there's gradations along here, and so you want to look at the medial border of the foot, and then so this is about one centimeter left and right. So when you set them up the next time,
say medial or lateral? No?
Medial border. Oh, sorry, the lateral border of the foot. Yep.
Okay, and just do it the same every time.
Yep. And so with the setup, there is usually I haven't looked at this in a long time.
That's right. It'll say
there's somewhere in there where you can actually write down how what the foot position was in the foot plate. Once you're happy with their alignment, then you put the thigh strap on, and then that's you locking them in the position that you're happy to conduct the test on.
It just keeps everything locked in.
Yep. And it stops any sort of external rotation at the hip or at the femur.
Did you say you're looking for patella straight up?
Yeah, looking for a neutral. So even then, I'd probably this side. You can sort of have a bit of a fiddle with it.
Yep.
And probably on. And it's not always going to be exactly the same on this side. So I think this side would be 0 and this side would maybe be 1.
Yep. It's just how far the heel's sitting out from that.
From this plate here, But
Good.
You set everyone up like that, have a look, and then if you think that there needs to be, and this is why also you want an exposed limb as well, so that you can get a good sense of where everything's aligned.
Good.
Once you're set up, then you attach the vise. So tibial tuberosity onto that plate there, and then your patella onto this plate here, and then the two ways that you've got to adjust. So if you need to slide it up and down, and then you've got this to make sure that you get that this here is parallel with the tibia as best as you can, and then the joint line is parallel with the patient's joint line. So you kind of got tibial tuberosity, patella, and then...
How do you gauge how high this thing is? It just sort of sits there.
So it's this bar here. You want this bar to be parallel with the
machine
tibia.
Or the tibia.
The tibia. Okay. So you're looking at tibial line, and then you're looking at this, and you're trying to create a parallel between the sort of the tibia and that sort of line there. So there's an element of error that's always going to occur with that, but you're trying to get a guess as best as you can. Once you're there, then
tighten it off.
You tighten up. So we've got joint line, tibial tuberosity, patella. So then the idea of this is to hold the patella in the
trochlea.
Yep.
So it'll always sort of sit on a slight angle. It won't be like that, obviously.
No, that's right. It'll
it's
always
got to
be
follow
facing,
the tibia.
and it's following that
line of the tibia.
plane
Okay.
that you're going. And then the other thing is just to make sure that you're not letting this rotate out to the side.
Yep.
You've actually got it sitting in a vertical position each time you do it, so that you're always pulling on a vertical force perpendicular
Yep.
to the tibia.
Yep.
And then
Pure Lockman's really, isn't it?
yeah, and then attaching, so bringing the straps and then getting the strap around and then applying the force up, because if you pull your force that way, then naturally you're going to
Move it.
rotate it out. So I used to bring it up and then apply my force fairly vertically.
Good, Em. As compared to the Smith method.
And then
Still uncomfortable? Yeah.
yeah, and then once you've got it on, then bring in that hand, and that hand now becomes the control of the machine. So trying to keep, this is really giving you how much force you put on this hand, and how much you pull down like that is all going to change how many mils you see on displacement. So the idea is that once you apply this pressure here, the idea is that you don't change that force. So as you pull, you want to resist the urge to push at the same time. It's just to stabilize.
Okay. And you're sort of pushing the patella into the trochlear notch. Everything's fairly tight there.
Yep. So you don't have to push too hard. So it's just
Uncomfortable.
engaging the patella. That's as hard as you have to do it. Obviously, if you push too hard, it'll be uncomfortable. And the harder you push, the more likely you change the.
Okay.
So once you've got it stable, then usually it's just a couple of, just to make sure that they're relaxed in the hamstrings.
Yep.
So just relaxing the.
That's just one beep you're doing, obviously.
Yeah, just to up and let it drop, and then once you feel like there's got good relaxation, put it to 0.
0, yep.
One beep and drop, and it should drop back to 0.
Good.
Yeah, so up, drop back to 0. And if you put the camera on there, you'll see that every little bit of movement changes
where it is.
So what you need to do when you're doing the test is make sure that once you've set up and you've gone, that's my 0 point, then every time after you do a beep and go back, you do your slight adjustments to make sure before you do the next bit.
See what you're doing.
Then you pull.
Just trying to get everything set, zeroed basically.
Yep, so now that we've got that, then we do our 20. And we're getting about 3.2, just over 3.
Is that the second beep, or was it?
That's the first beep.
Yeah. Okay, sorry, yeah.
Yep, so first beep just over 3, and each time I'm making sure it's sitting at the 0 before I... And I've pretty much got just over 3.1, 3.2, 5 times in a row there. You do at least 3, just to make sure.
3, that's the mil measure.
Yeah, so that line there, which is the 3 mil line, it went just past that.
At 20.
So I'm pretty confident that I'm getting a good consistent read, and then I go to the second beat.
Getting about 4.
Yep, so going just over the 3, about the 4. So there's about a 1 mil difference.
Oh, good.
There's a 1 mil difference between the 3, between the 15 pounds and the 20 pounds. And that's that compliance index. That's you taking up all the soft tissue, and then in theory, that's your 30 pound. So just relax again.
Okay, it makes much more sense.
Yeah. So again, once she's relaxed, so after doing it a few times, it has moved a little bit, so it's taken it a bit more time to get it back to the 0. But again,
about 6 or 7.
6. I've got 6 pretty much bang on 3 times.
Good.
And so I'm pretty confident that that's
the measure.
30 pounds.
Is that your degree of error? You only round off to full numbers, or?
No, I would do I would normally go in 0.2s, just because of the gradations. Like I'd kind of go, that's straight on, 0.2, 4, 6, it's the next one.
Okay.
So you can measure it to the 0.1 if you want to, but I would use 0.2s, 0.4, 0.6.
Even though it's in whole numbers.
So that's 3 mils. So I go, that would be 3.2, 3.4, 3.6, 3.8. You know, like kind of.
So 0.2 is what you're after.
That's just anecdotal. There's no rhyme or reason to that. If you it's about having consistency in what you do. So if you all make a decision that it's either 3, 3.5, or 4, and it's at the discretion of the person to say if it's closer to the 3, we'll call it 3. If it's closer to the 4, closer to the 3.5, we'll call it 3.5.
Yep.
But if you go whole mil, it's either 3 or it's 4 in absolutes.
Yep.
You're missing a lot
You are.
of range in there.
Yep. Good to know.
And when they're reporting means and standard deviations on anterior tibial displacement, then 3 mil. So over 3 mils is considered abnormal. Between, I think, 1 and 3 mils is 0 to 3 is normal.
Yep.
Over 5 is severely abnormal. But if you think about when you're taking 64 averages, then your 0.5s make a difference.
Make a difference. So the measure you just got for Emma there was 6?
We got 6. So
Yep.
we had 3.2, 4 and 6 as our
Yep.
3 numbers. So on the sheet there, you've got on the, say this was the non-injured side, then you would write in those boxes anterior on the N, which is the non-injured side, at the 20-pound box.
Yep.
And then we would write in there that was 3.2, and then in the in the 15-pound box we'd write 3.2, in the 20-pound box we would write 4,
Yep.
and then in the 30-pound box we would write 6.
6. Yep. Good. And then if you go on to do your maximal here,
Yep. So then,
like doing a Lockman's.
yeah. So just come in as you normally would for a Lockman's, thumb over the top of the tibia. Again, sitting at a 0 as best as you can.
Yep.
And then a Lockman's, and we're getting sort of 7.
You right, Em?
Yep.
Yep.
So 7, just over 7, pretty
Okay.
consistently.
Yep.
And then the last one, because it's the one that causes the most movement of everything, is to do the active quads. And so you get them to do an inner range quad and do a knee extension. So then go up into knee extension. That's it. And she's getting about 7, just under 7, and back down. And relax. Good.
All right. Good.
And then